Hi guys! I wanted to do this video for a while. I started sharing about relationships and stuff, and since I mentored at School of Revival, I actually get asked a lot about relationships and singleness and how to deal with it. And one part I want to talk about today is singleness and how to be healthy in that. And I shared before, but at first I want to start with the end of a relationship. And so I saw a lot of people, and I still see a lot of people who have a relationship, break up, and then go into the next relationship. And I don't want to judge you, so if you're this person, don't feel bad. Maybe you should, but it's up to you. But what I realize is that people don't want to deal with the stuff. They don't want to deal with the stuff they have messed up. And so they just continue to do the same things. They do the same mistakes and go from relationship to relationship to relationship, still carrying the bag from the first one. And it's not fair for yourself because it's painful and it's hurting yourself, but it's also not fair for the other person because you bring the crap from the first person to the second person, from those two persons to the third, and so on. So at the end, no matter how many people there are in between, it's just a lot you have to deal with if you haven't dealt with it. And so that's why I really highly recommend and encourage you, if you haven't dealt with your past relationship or you feel like there is still something that you are thinking about your ex-girlfriend or ex-boyfriend, just deal with it. I have been talking to people who had a breakup or got divorced and how they had their journey back towards God. And so from my experience, I think it's healthy to have a certain time where you don't date and don't look for someone, basically, but just concentrate and focus on you and God and this relationship. And from my personal story, I can tell you that I had a major healing and the most things happening as I trusted God in this journey. I just invited him into it and I said, hey God, I want to be free of my old relationship and healed as much as I can. I don't want to bring any old stuff with me when I meet someone else because I think it's not fair, and I want to love this person as there wouldn't have been any pain or any other relationships before. And with that perspective, it helped me to really get a vision for the new relationship that I want to have, because I really had a goal that I wanted to learn from my past mistakes. And so I think if you are open to that, to be okay that God is telling you, hey, you actually made yourselves as well. It was not just the other person you were in relationship with or the circumstances, but being vulnerable and open to also receive God's guidance and also conviction helps. And I think the second step for me was to speak forgiveness and also to cancel soul ties. Maybe you haven't heard of that, but I believe it's very essential to break soul ties that you've made with other persons, especially if you've been in a romantic relationship with them and you shared a lot of emotional and soul things, but also maybe you've been physically and sexually in contact, or even you had sex with them. I think that's major that you break any soul ties, because as soon as soul tie is like a connection you make within your soul with the other person, and it doesn't have to be through a sexual relationship, but it can also be with as you share like a lot of your emotions. And so if you have had that with the other person, you need to cut this and say, hey, I give back everything from my soul that isn't mine, and I take back to my soul what is mine, what I have given away. And really break that relationship that you made in your soul, because there has been something happening in a relationship, and I don't think you can walk in freedom when you don't deal with that. Yeah. That's also the reason why I believe that sex should be inside of marriage, because as you think of it as a covenant, you with sleeping with someone is the most intimate you can become with a person, and becoming that intimate means you give all of your soul to the other person. So sleeping with someone is not just giving yourself away. And the more I'm actually also involved with working with prostitutes and human trafficking, I realize about the power of soul ties. And it's no wonder that those women are so broken and traumatized in their soul, because actually there is physically something happening. The women themselves say they cannot work longer than a maximum of 4 weeks straight in this job, because they just cannot cope with it in their brain and with their soul, what's happening to their body. So there is not just that physical exhaustion of having that much sex a day, or also with different people, I think, but it has to do that also your most intimate part is being vulnerable to someone you don't even know, and you give something away and you don't know how they treat that intimate place. And that's why I think so much brokenness is in that area, because we are not aware of how much it damages us. And I think it's funny because people say like, "Oh, why would you save sex for marriage? It's way more important to live with the person you marry before and also sleep with them, because how do you know if they really are the person, or how do you know if they're enough or good in for example, you like how you like their sex style or whatever." But I think, and also from my experience, like it takes way more courage to not become physically close in the beginning of meeting someone, because sure, if you are attracted, our whole body is programmed to have sex with this person and to be attracted, and it's natural and it's a good thing. I'm not saying that, and I'm also not against sex, please don't get me wrong. But I think it has to be in a safe place. I think it has to be in marriage. And it's also because marriage is giving a kind of safe circle around this intimate place where it should be. And you should feel very secure. You should feel very loved and championed. And I think to prepare for marriage, you don't have to have sex before to check out if this person works for you. Because if you cannot talk about it before, it won't be easy to talk about it later. And our culture is so trained to get a quick fix, to be like, hey, I have this need, I'm feeling lust, I'm feeling sexually attracted, so I want to have sex. But how about, yes, that's a legitimate thing to feel, but the way you meet that need doesn't have to be that way. And if you think long term, you want to build relationship with your spouse, you want to have someone forever that you want to be in marriage with, so you need to be very close and able to talk about how you wish things to be, also regarding sex. So if you cannot talk about that with someone and checking things out before, I don't think that going at first to have sex to feel intimate and close is the right way. Because yes, it does make you feel close, because that's just the hormones that get released through having sex with someone. So it's natural that you bond in that way. But it's also not the only way to bond. I think, especially for a healthy relationship and marriage, you need to bond also emotionally, and need to do fun stuff together and not just sex. Yes, that's also part, but there are also other important and amazing things. Yeah, so this is already 9, almost 10 minutes long. I think I'm gonna do another video, but that's just what I wanted to say. Sex belongs into the covenant in marriage because it's healthy, good for your soul, body and your spirit, and also very healthy for the other person, because then it's safe and feels good. And if you've messed it up and if you've lived another way, like I did, you have hope. There is hope. You can go back. It's also a lie that you cannot control, or you cannot, it's hard to live as a single with feelings of lust. And from my own experience, because I have been asked a lot about that, because I'm single that long, and people don't believe that you cannot have lust, but it's true. And it's something that I never thought I could deal with, if I'm honest. And it was the main parts why I wanted to stay in the relationship, because I loved sex. So let's be real. My body is programmed to do it. So I really, really prayed that God would help me in this area. And he did. I had a lot of grace. Didn't feel any lust. I didn't even want to have sex for a very long time. So it was really, really fine, because God was more about taking care of my heart, taking care of my relationship, or the brokenness from it, to deal with that at first, that I'm ready afterwards to go in a new and great relationship and feel lust the right way. So, because there's also healthy and unhealthy lust. Okay, could go on a rabbit trail with this, but so I won't. So you're welcome. And yeah, if you want to know another steps of how I found healing through this and how you can live self-controlled, just text me your questions. Hope that helps. And yeah, wish you a wonderful day. Hope you have a good journey in living healthy relationships and be empowered, whole, and healthy in all of your being. Blessings.